Read all the stories about BYU sports no one else has heard. Go to KSLSports.com for exclusive columns by BYU insider Mitch Harper. That's KSLSports.com.
Welcome back. It's First and 12. Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry. You can hear Mitch, of course, every Saturday on Cougar Sports Saturday right here on your dial. You can also catch Cougar Tracks. If you haven't been following Cougar Tracks on all the socials, follow it, get to know it. You get the best headlines when it comes to BYU from the best in the business when it comes to covering BYU in this market, Mitch Harper. We've got tons to jump into here. This second one of the day here, Mitch, there's a couple of things here that are – it's unfortunate because it's kind of the administrative stuff. One, you have a coach getting fired in Mike Gundy today, and obviously it seemed like that was almost one, we wondered when it was going to happen. Two, we wondered why it hadn't happened already just because of how he approached things. And I just couldn't imagine an athletic department in 2025. We've got to see how this guy operated or didn't operate, for a better word, at Big 12 Media Days the last few years. He's kind of a non-existent, put his nose up at everything and everybody. This guy was not embracing what the college football landscape in the Big 12 looked like, and you've got him leaving. You have the other most tenured college football coach in the land besides Kirk Ferentz, who's Kyle Whittingham. This is a guy who's absolutely seemed like he's been good about. Now, they've been grabbing people out of the transfer portal like crazy. The thing is that is a hard to come around on situation for Kyle Whittingham are these new injury reports. So you think we have a theme going on here, Mitch, of the coaches who do not want to embrace the new reality of what their job outline is. And in the Big 12 in 2025, you're supposed to disclose injuries. I say for what reasons that you will, but the reality is that the betting houses are operating so closely with college football now. And that's not a great reason to be able to do this. But at the same time, everybody is asked to do the same thing, which is update your injury reports. Give us a questionable, give us a probable, give us a who's out for this week. Devin Dampier was banged up. We found out yesterday that he missed 2.5 practices out of the 4 that they had. That's massive. And the excuse from Kyle Whittingham was we had no doubt he was going to do it. But the university had to put out an official statement yesterday with the big old signature of Kyle Whittingham on it, with the nice red background and a nice, letterhead from the university, because it feels like they got kind of in trouble from the commissioner over how they handled that, because this is not in the spirit of how they want these injury reports to be handled.
Yeah, they wrote Kyle Whittingham's statement, quarterback Devin Dampier did not appear on last week's player availability report because while he was limited in practice early in the week, his status of playing in last Saturday's game versus Tech was never in question. We have spoken to the conference and have clarified the guidelines moving forward. It's just, I think why this is a story, because let's say what it is. Like maybe it was an honest oversight, maybe, but he's not getting that benefit of the doubt because of the history with Cam Rising. It was a punchline. At Big Noon Kickoff, there are Texas Tech fans that had a sign that said Cam Rising is questionable. Like it's a punchline in college football.
Right, yeah.
So that's why this is a story, because maybe, honestly, there was just, he is going to play, honest oversight for some coaches maybe, that it didn't need to be disclosed. But, it just kind of gets amplified a little bit with Kyle Whittingham. And then, when this got announced that the player availability reports were coming, he then goes immediately to, we're not going to release a depth chart. Like, why? And then you got on the flip side, Joey McGuire, who was ahead of the curve last year, announcing player availability reports in detail on his own for the program. And they then trot out a backup quarterback, and they hammer you.
Yes.
And it's just like, what competitive advantage are you gaining? This has been an ongoing carousel since the Rose Bowl against Penn State in 2022.
Yeah.
This has just been nonstop, ongoing, this drama. And you felt like for 3 weeks this season, Utah was just in great spirits, and they had just completely moved on from the drama of Cam Rising and the years prior. And now it feels like it's kind of back. And I think that's why this becomes a story, even though Dampier's probably going to play going forward, and that's fine. But it's just creating that unnecessary headache. And also, I think it would have helped the fans to when they're watching that game on Saturday and they're thinking, oh, my gosh, this offense is a fraud. No, maybe it's just because your quarterback is banged up and you have a little bit more context to understand, yeah, this happens. And now we just got to bounce back, get him healthy, and they'll be flying again. So I think that could have changed how everyone looked at that game in the moment on Saturday, too, if this was disclosed.
Yeah, and like you said, to your point, actually having this discussion about, hey, here's the reality of what Devin Dampier looks like. He's dealing with a bum ankle. We anticipate rolling him out. He's a competitor. He wants to play. We want him out there. He gives us the best shot to win, but he's dealing with that, and we're hoping that he can be 100% by game time. But even if he's not, we're going to see how he can go, and we're going to get that going. What does that do for you? It helps everybody understand, not even from a betting perspective. Who cares? Okay, here in the state of Utah, it doesn't matter to us, right? But when it comes down to it, is your fan base thought that he was 100%. And then you have your team keeping this weird secret all week too, which is how this works. We've seen how this works. They're telling guys, I mean, you may as well make them sign this NDA. You may as well trot out these guys, and they've all got their mouths shut, and their whole thing is well, we're not going to tell our opponents that their quarterback's hurt. Tell them. You know why? Because then they have to think about it, maybe a second quarterback. And by the way, Devin Dampier was the third best quarterback in that stadium, and it's only because we didn't see the third string quarterback from Texas Tech. I mean, that might be what a 60% Devin Dampier looked like. He couldn't run, obviously. That's a huge part of his game. Couldn't throw, I think probably because of that also. It was a terrible output by Utah, and it's a little bit better to know that he was injured a little bit. That would have helped going in. That would have helped your program a little bit more. And on top of that, the idea of just keeping it, it's none of your business. Like you're not allowed to know any of this stuff. This is our program. College football is ours. You know what I mean? I say ours like from the fan perspective.
Yes.
Okay? And this is the same kind of stuff you sometimes get used to when the players go, nothing else matters out here except for 11 on 11. I'm like, I hate that attitude. You're here because of the fans. And so it's a disservice to your fan base to not tell them what's going on with the guy who you're trotting out at quarterback. And guess what? You got beat up. It would have been nice to know if he was hurt. And when we find out for sure he didn't practice, then we all kind of go, all right, well, that makes a little bit more sense, but it doesn't really help.
And I just don't understand why holding it close to the vest when everyone in the league is giving detailed reports. When we saw that first injury report or availability report on Wednesday night, and all Witt listed was, a few players that were out. No questionable, no probable, no doubtful. Whereas Texas Tech had a detailed report. What competitive advantage did Texas Tech lose out by listing that? None. And they were the one that were dialed in. They played loose. And whereas maybe that was weighing on the players maybe at Utah. Who knows? I don't know if that was the case or not. But, this also doesn't become a story if Whittingham doesn't then bring this up on the Monday presser that he didn't practice. If he keeps this close to the vest, then you just handle it internally. Sure, and this doesn't become a big headline deal. But then when you hear that tidbit on Monday, then people are thinking, is he just making an excuse now to excuse the loss? Where it's like, again, just have the transparency. There's no need to be creating this unnecessary distraction because everyone in the league and really all of Power Conference football is expecting you to do this. I mean, UCLA, the Big Ten, they release availability reports for every game, non-conference or conference. Hopefully the Big 12 just gets to that point and everyone in Power Conference football, and honestly college football at large, just gets on the same page with this because I think everyone's just tired of the is he in, is he out game because that charade needs to be done. What we learned last year when Utah played Oklahoma State in the Cam Rising bit, that was just that was the straw that broke the camel's back where everyone is just fed up with these games. And then this just brings back those memories from last year and think, oh my gosh, I thought Utah was moved on from this.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to end this segment the way that we started it, which was you have a couple of coaches who are the most tenured in college football. One is out of a job today, and the other is still trying to do things the old school way. And everybody likes the old school way that Kyle Whittingham approaches things. But when you lose in the fashion that you did, and then the excuses start to come out, and then you start to look at it, and the commissioner's not going to be happy. He wants to do things in 2025 as 2025 dictates, and that is with transparency. By the way, the injury report that Texas Tech put out, massive, right?
Yeah.
It was huge, way long list. They had all sorts of things going on there. You list the guy's probable, and he plays, guess what? No harm done. You know what I mean? At least somebody sees, and then you could go the other direction. What do you see? You'll have a lot of coaches who will just start listing every player as probable, and that's the other thing. It's annoying every week when you're just not being truthful about what's going on with these guys.
And I would just, before we get to a break, I would just add, too, that I think, honestly, the transparency piece is important these days because for us in media, sure, whatever. But I think more so for the fans, if you want their hard-earned money and tying back to NIL collectives and rev share, just be open with them.
Yeah.
Because then they know what they're throwing money at.
1,000%.
And Joey McGuire, I think, is proof of that because, again, last year he just said Texas Tech's doing a player availability report because, one, he didn't want to answer the questions anymore. He was tired of it. And he just said, they're getting paid. We're going to make this just transparent as possible, make it like the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's what they've been doing. And I think when you have transparency, I think that's you're more able to get fans to buy in and spend their hard-earned money and say, I want to donate to that guy because that guy is letting us be part of it. Whereas Utah's kind of got this guarded wall that just feels like you can't be a part of it unless select few. I just think, why not go transparency? Everyone in the Big 12 is putting out these reports. Just move forward with that. And just now, hopefully, they're on the same page and that this doesn't become a headache going forward for Utah season. Because, again, I think Utah is a much better team than last year. Don't let these sideshow antics and headaches derail what could be a good football team.
Next up, we've got our Big 12 Sound Roundup. You're going to be able to hear Mike Gundy the day prior to when he got fired today. His press conference probably didn't help. Maybe he already knew that the writing was on the wall and that was going to be his last press conference. But we'll talk about that. We'll have some sound from Joey McGuire, Kenny Dillingham. Across the Big 12, it is your 1st and 12th program right here on KSL News Radio. Stay with us.